My name is Taylor Eaton. I'm a 5/1 splenic projector and a human design and money mindset expert. And over the last several years, I've built a thriving multiple six-figure business around human design. And while I love giving tips to newer entrepreneurs or newer readers, today I wanted to create a slightly different video because I want to share with you 3 of my secrets as a human design reader. And when I say secrets, these aren't necessarily hacks and tips and tricks. These are things that I don't feel I really discuss that much with my audience, and that also just isn't discussed in the human design community. Really, my intent with what I'm going to share with you here is more to give you some permission to do human design readings the way you want to do them, and also maybe help you just feel a little less alone in this whole entrepreneurial journey, because it's incredibly easy to fall into the trap of feeling not good enough or isolated. And I hope that this helps you understand how universal a lot of the thoughts and feelings we have are as entrepreneurs, and helps you in some way. Secret number 1, I use notes during my human design readings. I use notes all the time in my human design readings, and I've been doing this for years. I've done hundreds of readings. I feel like I know what I'm talking about and can give a powerful reading on the fly, but I always have notes available to me while giving a reading. So if you are a newer human design reader, I want you to hear me when I say that it is okay to use notes during your human design readings. Truthfully, this isn't something that I considered a secret until I started seeing this come up more and more with my clients over the last couple of years. As I started training more and more people to become human design readers, I started hearing the same phrase or some similar variation on it, which was, I'm so afraid that I'm going to forget something during a reading. And that was the point where it occurred to me that people were trying to memorize every single thing about the human design system. Now, I'm sure if you are watching this video, you probably have some understanding of human design. And so you know that human design is so complex and so layered and has so many different aspects to it. And while yes, I believe that in order to be a powerful reader, you need to have a strong foundational understanding of human design. You need to understand how all the different components of it and how they work together. You don't have to have everything memorized to a T. For example, I know all of the gates and channels in human design. I'm very familiar with all of them. However, when I give a reading, I always have notes available to me that I can easily look at about someone's gates and channels. That way I can quickly refer to my notes if I blank out on a channel name, or if I feel like I'm forgetting some key aspect of one of the gates and it's the way it can be used or deconditioned. It's just so much more comforting to me to have notes that I can refer to if I need them. So just to give you an idea of my actual physical setup for my readings is I have 2 monitors whenever I'm doing a reading. So I have my main computer monitor where I am on my Zoom call with my client. We are chatting face to face and doing the reading. And then over here off to the side, I have another monitor where I have notes on their chart, and I have their chart pulled up so I can easily keep referring to it without having to minimize our Zoom call or anything like that. So I will often at the beginning of a reading tell the person I'm on the reading with, hey, just so you know, I have some notes that I have taken for your chart over here. I also have your chart pulled up. So if you see me looking over here during our call, I am not distracted. I'm just looking at my notes for your chart. And no one has ever had an issue with that or ever said, oh my God, you still need notes to do human design readings. Nothing like that. I once had a client who was just starting to offer human design readings. She once told me that she was so afraid that having notes that she was referring to in a call would make her look unprofessional or like she didn't know what she was talking about. And I think this is a really common fear for anyone who is an entrepreneur, not just human design readers, but I think this is especially pervasive in the human design reading community. The reason for this is that human design is so complex. It is incredibly intricate, and we end up putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to have to know all of it and to have all of it memorized and be able to just be like, oh, gate 9, that's this gate. These are the things you need to know about it. These are the ways to decondition, blah, 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 blah. It's so easy for us to put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect and to have these really high expectations that we can't always live up to because we're human. Sometimes we will forget things. Sometimes we will blank out on things. But like I said before, I have never had anyone complain about the fact that I openly use notes during our readings. Because the truth is, I'm not sitting there reading off of my notes word for word and not even making eye contact with the person on my screen. The notes are there purely for me if I need them, if I feel like I'm forgetting something, if I feel like I'm a little stuck or I'm blanking out. I don't think that having notes makes me look unprofessional at all. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think it makes me more professional. It means I'm prepared, it means I'm ready for anything during our readings. In fact, in that conversation with the client who was so afraid of using notes during her human design readings, I had started that call off with her by saying, hey, let me just pull up the notes that I prepared for our call today. And so later in that session, when she expressed her fear of using notes, I paused and I looked at her and I said, when I told you I was pulling up the notes I prepared for our session today, did you think in any way that I was unprofessional when I did that? And she laughed and said, no, actually, I felt special. I felt like, oh my gosh, she looked at my chart and she prepared some things for us to go over before the session day. She took time for me. She's so well prepared. So please, if you want to use notes during your readings. Just don't lean on the notes to carry the entire reading. They should be there as a backup, not a script that you read off of. Secret number 2 is that I used to spend way too long preparing for my human design readings. I, earlier on in my human design career, used to spend hours preparing for a single reading. My prep time for readings used to be longer than the actual readings themselves. I would extensively study every client's chart for days before we had our reading. I would make notes and notes and notes, like at least 7 to 11 pages of notes that I was intending to share with them during the readings. And most of the time, I didn't even touch those notes during our readings. I didn't even look at them. But I will say that at first, I think that while this habit of over-preparing for a reading was excessive, I do think it served me at the very beginning of my human design reading career, because this was a way that I started to get more and more familiar with human design readings. It's a way I started to hone my skills more, and it allowed me to really build up my confidence in my knowledge of human design. And it did help me feel confident for readings when I showed up to them, because I had everything I could need right here at my fingertips for this person's chart. But this is where the secret part of this comes in, is that I did this excessive over preparation of every human design reading way longer than I needed to, way longer than I'm proud of admitting to. Like, even into a year of having a fully booked out human design reading practice, making 6 figures in my human design business, I was still spending hours prepping for every reading. I really think that I could have scaled this preparation back quite a bit around maybe the 3 to 6 month mark of giving readings. At that point, I'd really found my own groove, my own reading style. I knew what I needed to do on readings. I knew how to feel prepared and confident. But I think a lot of where this habit of over preparing came from was a feeling of imposter syndrome. I was so worried what people would think about me and about the readings. And I knew I was charging almost $200 per reading to start. That to me felt like enough money where I needed to really over deliver. I didn't want to let people down. I didn't want to disappoint anyone by blanking out on something and not being able to deliver the most powerful reading I believed I could. This is honestly a large part of why I created the Ultimate Human Design Reader resource. This is my program that I created to help people become human design readers. It's a full-on reader training program, gives you everything you need to know about the human design system and how to offer and get paid for readings, but also it includes an entire cheat sheet vault with hundreds of PDFs that are meant to help you easily and quickly compile notes before your readings. I created that because I kind of needed my own system, my own cheat sheet vault, so that I could stop spending so much time preparing for readings and instead really having more energy to offer more readings or more powerful readings rather than burning myself out for hours beforehand compiling notes for somebody. If you want to check out the Ultimate Human Design Reader resource, if you want an easy, quick way to compile notes and also just more information on human design and giving readings, then that link for the program is in the video description. There's also in there a free checklist if you just want to check that out. You don't want to buy a whole program, I get it. There is a free checklist as well in the video description, which helps you prepare for and structure your readings and gives you just a quick, simple checklist to follow so that you're not, again, over preparing more than you need to. Like I said earlier in the video, I still do have notes prepared for every reading that I get, but I typically don't look at them, and if I do, it's just a quick peek to refresh my memory of something, or when I tend to blank out on something or feel like I'm missing a key component of someone's chart that I really wanted to touch on with them. Best of all is it now just takes me 10 minutes to prepare my notes for someone's reading rather than hours and hours by using those cheat sheets from the cheat sheet vault in the Ultimate Human Design Reader resource. So I think that's a much more sustainable and healthy approach to preparing for a reading. All of that being said, if you are a newer human design reader, give yourself permission to spend extra time preparing for a reading, at least for the first few months that you offer readings. Anything past then, Start to scale it back, start to build up your own confidence by validating yourself and looking at how many successful readings you've given. But to start, there's nothing wrong with spending a little bit of extra time on it. We all do it. It just helps you hone your skills as a reader and build up your confidence. But if you're someone like me who has been giving readings for a while, but is finding yourself still stuck in that over preparation phase, then I would encourage you to check in with yourself and not give all of your power away to that imposter syndrome. Remember that you likely know enough at this point and have honed enough of your skills as a reader that you don't need to spend hours and hours preparing before a reading. Secret number 3 is that I still doubt myself as a reader sometimes. This is something I've talked about pretty openly with my audience on different platforms before, but I haven't discussed as much here on YouTube, so I'm excited to have this conversation with you because I think it's really important to be transparent about the fact that no matter what industry you're in, no matter what stage of business you're in, no matter how successful you are, as an entrepreneur, you will still have moments of self-doubt. As you grow in your business, and especially as a human design reader, you will outgrow old versions of self-doubt, but you will find yourself adopting new ones, or you will see the same old self-doubts popping up in new ways or on deeper levels. But I want to connect the dots between this imposter syndrome and self-doubt specifically for human design readers. And the reason for this is because human design is a weird mix of being something that is very specific and very detailed and intricate, but also being kind of an art form in how you interpret it and how you use it with clients. So there's this unique dichotomy with human design of needing to be incredibly educated and knowledgeable about the topic, but also having no one right way to do it. This creates a prime environment for human design readers to doubt themselves or to believe that they don't know enough no matter how much they learn and study human design, or to doubt their ability to give a powerful reading that can actually help someone. And the truth is that there's no one way for you to just nip this belief in the bud, because we all have different designs, which means we all have different gifts and strengths as readers. And since no two people will have the same reading style or the same way that they give a powerful reading, I can't just go, hey, hit these notes in a reading and I guarantee your readings are going to be a success and your clients are going to walk away happy. That just doesn't exist. So what I want to communicate to my fellow human design readers here is that it's incredibly normal to have moments of self-doubt or imposter syndrome and worry about whether you're doing a good enough job in your readings. But you can't let yourself reside in that self-doubt for too long. For me, when I find myself slipping into that self-doubt, I do 2 things. The first thing that I do is I look at my human design chart and all of the gifts that are in my chart that I bring to the table as a human design reader. So basically, I just validate myself and pump myself up. And then the second thing I do is I go and I reread previous testimonials and reviews that clients have left for me before based off of our human design readings. These things help me get that outside perspective of how impactful my readings are and what results people get from doing these readings with me. It becomes really hard to listen to that self-doubt voice that says you're no good at what you do, or people don't like your readings, or people don't really see much value in them, when there's this complete body of evidence that says otherwise. But I also want to make the point here that, truthfully, not everyone will love your human design readings. Every now and then you will have a dissatisfied customer, someone who doesn't feel like it was worth what they paid for your reading, or they didn't like the way you ran the call. And that's just part of being an entrepreneur. That's part of doing business, because at some point, once you grow big enough and reach a wide enough audience and do enough calls, statistically, you are going to run into people who do not like you or your reading style or what you're doing. So if that happens to you, or you're afraid of that happening to you, let me just say from personal experience that typically, if you're doing a good job of marketing yourself and being honest with who you are and what you do and the kind of problems you help people solve with human design, you will get very few of these dissatisfied customers. But when they do pop up in your experience, you get to use those instances as opportunities to grow, as opportunities to look at yourself and say, okay, what can I do better as a reader and as a business owner and as an entrepreneur? But you also don't have to give away all your power to those experiences. You just get to know that sometimes people won't like you, and that's all you can do. So while I don't want you to dwell on those experiences or that fear of those experiences happening to you, of having a dissatisfied customer or people not liking your readings, I also want you to know that these things will happen if you stick with human design reading long enough. And that's okay, because you will not be for everyone. You just won't be. And part of knowing that is what creates the self-doubt and opens that door for imposter syndrome, But you have to make your peace with not being for everyone, even if that means that every now and then some self-doubt pops up. But I can say that over time, you will get better at acknowledging when that self-doubt is popping up, because it can be very sneaky, and you will get better and better at not giving your power away to it. I always like to say that self-doubt is showing you your edges. It's showing you where you can grow, where you can heal, where you can shift, where you can improve, and where you can step into your next level. And also, I want to make the point that making friends with your self-doubt will make you a much more impactful human design reader. The reason for this is, like I said, we all have self-doubt. Even your clients have self-doubt. And when you can understand how to navigate those waters of imposter syndrome or worry about what other people think about you and whatever you're passionate about, you will be able to help your clients navigate that so much easier when that comes up in a reading. So that's it. Those are my 3 secrets as a multiple 6-figure human design entrepreneur and reader. I hope that they were encouraging for you. I hope they gave you some food for thought. And if you liked this video, I would love if you could like and subscribe to my channel, and also just say hi in the comments so I can connect with you. And if you want more tips and resources on becoming the most powerful human design reader you can, then definitely go check out the links that I put in the description of this video. And otherwise, I'll see you soon.